Hey everyone, it's Brenda back again with another episode of Three Uniques. I've got Kirsten Anderson here. Hey Kirsten, how are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well. So Kirsten's the founder of Integrate Play Solutions. So tell us about yourself, Kirsten, and tell us about what Integrated Play is all about.
Yes, Integrate Play Solutions is a boutique consulting firm. We do mostly training and keynote speaking. And right now, the focus has been on change and resilience. But prior to COVID, we also were doing a lot of culture work, team development, communication, a lot of emotional intelligence pieces, and just the team dynamics, what makes teams work well together.
Awesome. So tell me about the emoji guys in the background there.
Oh, these are Lego heads. These are giant Lego because probably like a good chunk of our business has always been using Lego Serious Play with corporate teams and government agencies and higher education. But those are the primary clients that we've been working with. And so we use the Lego, everyone builds and shares equally, and then gets to tell their whole story. So it's super inclusive. It includes the introverts and the extroverts. There's no hierarchy because everyone gets equal time. And so, yeah, Lego has been a really big hit with our clients to work on strategy and really messy, wicked problems.
Yeah, I love going into the Lego store. I've gone in a couple of times to the big one in Rockefeller Center in New York.
Yeah.
Love it. But, now I don't know if I would be wanting to dig in the bins and stuff like that. Anyway, but I love playing with Lego. I've always loved playing with Lego. And the Post-it notes, what are the Post-it notes all about?
Yeah, the Post-it notes are actually, believe it or not, up there since 2017. I keep adding to them, but the initial ones have been from my first paid keynote was in Denmark. And so I created a framework called the Playful Mindset, and there were 6 pillars. And so yeah, that's that. And eventually it will be a book.
Oh, got it. Okay. So these are all key thoughts, themes, kind of your journey through the work that you do, and you've got it posted up on the wall. Nice.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just a physical way to play. And of course, with Lego Serious Play, we use a lot of Post-it notes as well. Okay. So you build a model and then you create a Post-it note with all your insights of what you see inside your model. But virtually, we have to use Miro, or Mural. So we use either of those virtual whiteboards with the sticky notes. But it's amazing that it can work. We just did one yesterday with 63 people leaders. And it was amazing to see it all populate like a beehive, really.
Nice. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool. So Kirsten, you're here today to share your 3 uniques with us. So how about them?
Yeah, that's, I was thinking about this, about the challenge of that. And I think the challenge is that people don't want to speak to their own superpowers. It feels like bragging or something to say something that is positive. Right? To say something about yourself. So I had to go back to some letters that 3 people wrote for me about what they saw in me. And I looked for where were the similarities of what people said about me, where it popped out. So the top one that all 3 people said was curiosity. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I'm glad we got a little chat ahead of time before this call. So I got to ask you some questions because I don't know if I could have sat here without asking you questions, Brenda. So yeah, curiosity's one, living life, play fully, definitely came up in both. And then living, taking risks. So that kind of adventure piece.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. So let's take it up to the top. So curiosity.
Yeah. So curiosity is definitely something I speak on around playful mindset. That curiosity is like when you're a kid and having that awe and wonder about the world. Mm-hmm. And just this, it's definitely related to connection for me because you can't care about people and be connected to people without innate curiosity. So that's where I see there's so much power in curiosity and asking more questions instead of just inserting your answers in there all the time.
Right. Okay. Awesome. And number 2?
Yeah. Number 2 is living play fully. So one business that I started, which I never mentioned to you, which when I first sold the toy store, was a celebrations of life, we called it. And it was about making putting the fun in funerals.
Oh, wow.
So kind of a weird business. And we had a client right out the gate, and we did this amazing tea party. And afterwards, I just decided, no, like we changed our mind about that business. But I was just listening to Drew Barrymore talk about how she wants to have like a funeral where everyone's like, that was the best time ever. I had such a good time. And that was basically what our idea too. Like, you know, people who wanted a themed funeral. And so I only mention this because that's how I approach life, like just bringing fun wherever you go, right. Not to dismiss negative emotions like anger or sadness or trauma. Like all those things are super important to acknowledge, to deal with. But also having that like perspective of finding the positive, finding the silver linings, finding the gratitude. That to me is a part of living playfully and just finding the fun in every moment you can.
Nice. So part of my family is Ukrainian, and Ukrainian, Scottish, and Irish. But the Irish side, when my stepfather passed away, my mom had a celebration of life, and she called it that. She didn't want to use the word funeral. She wanted to call it celebration of life. Yeah. And she did it as a traditional Irish wake. So we had Irish dancers and Irish music playing, and it was so much fun. All the grandchildren were up like dancing, and you know, everyone was like socializing, hanging out. Yeah. And also remembering Terry, my stepfather, right? But it was a fun time. And, you know, and it was a lively time, and there were lots of sort of memorial speeches, but not necessarily like this longing or this missing, more like little stories about like he had his hunting buddies and his fishing buddies talking about him like getting frustrated over the biggest catch, and, you know, really fun stories that would just make everybody roar with laughter. So I love that idea.
And different cultures have that very, around the world, have that different kind of celebratory piece to their grieving. And so I totally appreciate that element. And I you know, really originally wanted to be a special events planner, like back when I was a teenager. And so, you know, through the toy store, I got to do lots of special event planning. And even now, like facilitating and doing keynotes, like to me, that is a little bit like special event planning. So it's fun.
And your third unique?
Oh yes, the third unique was living outside my comfort zone. So I think it is rooted from early childhood of, you know, being given so much freedom to explore my town. Like when I was in kindergarten, I could run around the whole town, like come back, you know, when it's dark, you know, to as a teenager working downtown at 15, like taking the C bus over from North Van. To traveling in Europe at 18, 8 months by myself, you know, no credit card, not even internet. And then opening my own business at 29, all of those things like really led to a sense of like independence and stretching like constantly trying to stretch myself. And so if I'm working with like a coaching client or working with teams, it's about stretching that capacity that I try and do as well. So if we keep taking chances, and that involves a little bit of willingness to fail and willingness to make mistakes and look foolish. And that's okay. And like having that self-compassion to say, this was a misadventure. I'm going to grow from this. I'm going to be better because of this. I'll be stronger. And so it's a resilience piece as well.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So there's a sort of conversation thread that's been sort of going around, and I've been picking up on it, this whole idea of like valuing your imperfections. So when you think about your three uniques, or, you know, maybe the things that you don't always do well, like what are some of the things that you just like, you know what, I'm imperfect in this area and it's totally fine with me? What's like one thing that comes to mind?
Yeah, I definitely have an aversion to the word perfection or imperfection even, because it seems so unrealistic. Like nothing is perfect. There's no sense ever striving for perfection ever, but we can definitely strive for our best. And so like our personal best. And so if I was to think about like where my weaknesses are, the first one that comes to mind is distractibility. For sure, shiny object syndrome. Like I have a lot of passions. I love the variety of life. You know, I want to eat the whole buffet. Right. And that shows up in a lot of different aspects of my life, COVID-19. So yeah, that's a big one, to want to solve like all the problems that a company is having, like the focus, like the narrowing down
Yeah.
to a single challenge. So this year, having my clients tell me that change is really, like, I thought, oh, it's leadership that we're really helping companies with, and it is, like, leadership is a piece of it, but to keep hearing the change and resilience, like this play thing is really helping us with change, has really helped me in the focus part, because I was struggling to zero in on just one thing. I just wanted to play in all the sandboxes, all the playgrounds.
Yeah. And, you know, and like that piece, it's definitely not even an imperfection in my mind. It's more like, this is what you bring to the world. And like, you know, you're a generous spirit and you love to play, and that curiosity that you mentioned. And so we need people that are exuding that, right? It lifts other people up and sparks interest in other areas where maybe we didn't think we had that interest. So I love that. If I was to give you a billboard that you could put anything on it and put it anywhere in the world, what would it say and where would it be?
Well, where would it be is then you want the highest exposure. So I'm thinking like Times Square or like Hong Kong or something like that. Okay. I think that those are pretty high vis. And what would it say? Oh, you know, it would probably take me a month to come up with the perfect word. Well, there's no perfect. To come up with the ideal or the wording that would be just right. Off the top of my head, I mean, the bottom line messaging out there is about the bottom line. And when I say bottom line, I don't just mean financial bottom line to a business, but it's certainly applicable there. Prioritize play every day for the bottom line benefits, you know, and that's bottom line to our personal lives, to our relationships, to, right, you know, how we interact organizationally. So yeah, play every day.
Awesome. I love it. Kirsten, thanks so much for being on 3 Uniques today and sharing them with us.
Thank you for having me.
And sharing them with the world. It's been awesome having you. And for everyone else that's listening in, I always say this at the end of my interviews. There's 7.5 billion people on this planet. Somebody needs what you've got. Share your 3 Uniques with the world. Take care, Kirsten.
Thank you. Keep playing.